Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome back to another episode of PI, aka Parent Involved. I'm your host, Jamie. If you're new here, this podcast is mainly about being a parent involved in your kids' everyday activities and different tips about how to stay involved in your kids' lives, how to manage being a parent. And also, this channel is about, just being a parent day to day, month to month, year to year, whatever that may be for you, being involved and how much you're involved. That's mainly what this podcast is about. So just a little bit of background. If you guys haven't already, I am on Instagram, YouTube, and also TikTok. On Instagram, I'm at parentinvolved_pod. And then in the future, I will be doing the video podcast. I'm thinking about doing it. Most likely it'll be for season 2 because I am going to be breaking up the podcast episodes by season. So I'm aiming for 12 to 16 episodes. And then I'll be taking a brief break, maybe 1 to 2 months. Maybe shorter. It just kind of depends on what it's looking like because I've decided that I need to promote this more. I'll be going full head on promoting the whole first season by, posting on TikTok. I also have a Pinterest that I used often, and I have about 5,000 followers on Pinterest right now just because I have already built that up. But I do post to get my podcast out there for individuals if they're looking for this type of content. So if you guys would share, follow, and just turn your notifications on, I'd greatly appreciate it because definitely I'm going to keep it going. And I just enjoyed seeing that people are starting to now find my podcast. So it's pretty exciting because I look at the stats and I'm like, okay, I went from about 2 to 5 downloads per episode. And now I'm up, around the 7 to 10 mark. So I know that's not a big jump, but considering I've only been doing this for about, 2 months and just seeing the gradual growth. That's all that I'm looking at. And I don't feel like I'm, in fantasy land. I'm not looking at a blow up overnight. Definitely not. I know that it's going to take work. It's going to take consistency. And so just thank you to everyone that has come by before, or if this is your first episode, thank you guys for tuning in. All right. So this episode, guys, I did skip last week just because it was back to school week and it was hectic. So if you guys are like me, it's that time of year again. We're getting the kids ready for school, getting them, situated. Every year, I always take off at least that first day of school. So I usually take off the first day, and then also the week that I plan on doing any type of back to school shopping, I do take, at least a Friday off or Monday or maybe even a couple days. I do not shy away from the days off because I just, after a long day of shopping or just, helping the kids get situated, getting their room together, getting their backpacks and clothes together, getting the snacks prepared for, how the week is going to look. It's just something that I feel my energy is, pretty much invested in it. So basically, I always take off at least, 1 or 2 days during the week, so that I have a longer weekend to relax after doing all that I'm going to do. But this episode really is just about back to school. How do you back to school shop as a parent involved? I mean, there's parents that don't have to worry about that at all. They're not involved in the shopping. Maybe they just contribute the money. So this episode is not for them. This episode is for the parents that have to, take the time out to do the back to school shopping. Back to school, whether it's clothes, school supplies, food, there's just so much involved. And this year especially was more than what I've normally done because I did have a child that went off to college. So I had to go shopping for the dorm room because she did move into the dorms, and oh my goodness, that was just, on a whole nother level. I tried to, I went in the mindset of keeping it simple. I wanted to just get the necessities, we weren't going for the whole glam. I felt that getting started was the most important, just making sure, the items that she needed up front is what we got, and then we could build on throughout the year, or after the first week we could look and see what's missing, what's needed, and then do it that way. But I'll get into that in just a moment because it's a long story. But back to school shopping is definitely, it can be stressful. I do have a friend that I talk to a lot about all of these things because we have so much in common. She has 3 kids. I have 3 kids. She has 1 in college. She has 2 now in college, and I have 1 in college. So I definitely go to her, like, what do I need? What do I got to do? And then she also has an elementary, just like me. I have 2. So we grew up high school besties, but we're still connected, after all these years, very much connected. And so we just have so much in common, and she's like the number 1 supporter. So shout out to my BFF, Mia. I'll put your name out there. But definitely shout out to her for helping me know exactly what to expect. And even with that information, I still kind of, after I shopped, I was like, what happened? What just happened with all this money? What happened? But I'll definitely get more into it. I'll first start off with some topics that I felt were necessary to discuss. All right, guys. So with back to school shopping, the number 1 thing, how do you back to school shop? What are a list of things to keep in mind when you're going to do that school clothing, school supplies, or even the groceries? Because they need their snacks, they need water, for their water bottle. So exactly how do you go about getting prepared for back to school? So the first thing is going to be create a budget. So this is like number 1, especially when you have multiple kids, is number 1. You have to have a budget in writing, not in mind. That the in mind thing never works. If you have a budget, a number in writing, and then you have a list of what you need, and then we can look at pricing, how much are you going to allocate? Because a budget, of course, is the amount of money you're going to allocate to a specific thing or a specific activity. That's what a budget is, in case you guys weren't really sure, or you just thought, just having some money set aside and then you go spend it. But it's actually more in depth than that. You would have to know, how much do you plan to allocate? So I'll give you an example because I have 3 kids. How much did I allocate for my daughter, which is my oldest, that's going to college? How much I would allocate to her. Then I would break it down even more. How much am I allocating to her clothes? How much am I allocating to her dorm room? And then also, how much am I allocating if I had to include books or tuition, all of that? Then that's something which is definitely separate. I put all the school stuff separate, but when it came to the room, the dorm, everything that I knew that I would have to pretty much come out of pocket with, that's what I focused on. So for her, it was that. It was dorm room, clothes, shoes. I'll do shoes separate because the shoes were on a whole nother level. I don't know what's going on. Finish line. The shoes are just, I don't know. They're on a whole nother level these days. I mean, the Air Force Ones, just even those were like $120. I don't know. I've never paid $120 for shoes. And that just lets you know right there. Like for myself, for my kids growing up, never paid $120. I think last year the Air Force Ones was about $85 or $80. So even that was, it was pretty much up there, because when you spend so much on shoes, they're just walking on, and they want different pairs that's going to match. You want to look at the nice shoes, of course. I'm not saying go off to Payless or anything. I mean, shout out to Payless, because I definitely I don't even know if they still sell shoes because it's been so long since I shopped there, but I grew up on Payless, so I have nothing against them. But I'm just saying, for my children, I know how they are and how most children are these days. But looking at the shoes, I had to create my own budget for that. So, I mean, that went off a little bit off topic, but definitely when I created my budget, I had to make a separate list a separate budget item for shoes alone because they were on a whole nother level. So that's going to be number one, creating that budget. The next thing to remember is making a list. Making a list of the essentials. When it came to the dorm, I knew exactly. We know we need the bedding, which I went towards the bed in the bag option because they usually have everything in there. And, you know, you have the comforter, the sheets, the flat sheet, the fitted sheet, the 2 pillowcases. So it's all right there. And it's pretty much, you don't have to look for little pieces here and there. It's just something that's more convenient. So that's kind of the option that I look for. I also looked for the rug. I also looked for desk organizers, you know, to make sure that she had everything she needed in her space to be successful, because being comfortable and just being set up, having a good setup is going to help your child. And in my mind, in my mind, just being comfortable in your own space, not having to worry about, oh, I'm missing this, you know, so you can concentrate. That was my whole thing when I went into looking for what she needed. She loves to have like nice pens, gel pens. So I made sure she had, you know, a 20 pack with different colors. I made sure she had some nice notebooks. She's a good note taker. So I made sure my oldest had the nice notebook, the nice pens, and then also just a nice folder and desk organizer where she could put like her books or her binder right there in her desk area, because she does have a nice size area with her table, with her desk. And so I felt like she could fit everything on there and still have room. You know, she needed the lamp, which a lot of the things as well, you know, you want to use what you have as well. I didn't want to buy every single thing new, especially when she had a desk lamp at home, which if she's not home, then no one's using it. So we might as well get it used. So that's why she took that, and it matched her aesthetic. She went for like a gray and white type color. So the lamp was gray. So that worked out really good. But definitely you want to make sure that you make a list of everything that you need. Now with my little ones, my kindergartner, my 5th grader, they were a lot more simpler, because with my kindergartner especially, now she grew a little bit, but not that much. I went through all of her clothes. That way I could kind of see exactly what she needed and what I had to, you know, give away because she grew out of it. So looking at her clothes, she still had a lot of stuff that were still in good shape, and, you know, it was not worn down. So she had a lot that she could use for kindergarten. So hers, I probably didn't spend over almost like $100. I don't think I spent $100 for just her back to school clothing. I think a lot of the stuff that she had, the only thing that I did was her shoes, and those were like $30 each. And those were some Converse. The Chuck Taylors. She had got the Chuck Taylors because she likes to wear the casual look, I guess being in California, but she definitely likes wearing those and they're more comfortable for her. So I always get her like the black and white ones and then the white and red ones. So she was real simple. She was the easiest. Now my son, he wasn't too difficult either, because I had bought him some new shoes in the summer already, and they were still in good shape where he was going to wear those. Those were one pair that he would have through the school year. And then I just needed to get him an extra pair for him, you know, to switch out with outfits depending on what he wore. Now his clothes, I did have to create a list where I had to see how many shirts were still good, because I don't think it's necessary, which this is what I was discussing with my friend as well, is that buying a whole new wardrobe is just unnecessary. When they still have items that they can still fit, they're still in good condition, there's no reason to buy a whole new wardrobe for them every year. That is something that's common. Everyone wants to take those old back to school pictures, which, you know, I was that parent back in the day. But now being a more reserved parent, I would say I am more mindful of waste. And I think that there's so much that kids do not go through, they don't wear often, or that are still in good shape, but we want to buy them because we want to make them look, to the public. We want to make them look fresh and clean. And I mean, they still can look fresh and clean with what they had before. I'm not saying send them with old hand-me-downs or raggedy stuff. No, I'm saying if it's ill in good shape, there's no reason to feel like you need to upgrade their whole wardrobe. I know kids have it in their mind, and it's only because we have created that persona on them, or their environment has created their persona. But my kids right now, thank goodness, my fifth grader and my kindergarten, their minds is not like that right now. They're not warped like in that sort of fashion. My daughter, even with her, she was not difficult when it came to the clothes. We still spent a good amount of money, but she wasn't that type that where, she was looking for all new everything. It was mainly about, the comfort, what she needed to be comfortable in class-wise, if she needed, new hoodies, a sweater, a good sweater, and then also just workout clothes because they have a gym on the campus. So she knew she was going to work out, and she wanted to make sure she had comfortable clothing for when she's in school, because of course she's going to be seen by other students all the time. So you will just want to make sure you're comfortable when you're being seen if you're working out on the regular. So she wasn't too difficult. But yeah, that's the thing. You just want to make sure that you create a list when it comes to purchasing back to school items. That making a list also kind of combines with checking your inventory, just making sure, looking to see. I went through all of my kids' clothing because when you just keep adding on, it's so much. It's so much like clutter and just overflow, especially with the drawers. It wouldn't even fit. A lot of the clothes weren't even going to fit. If I bought a new, let's say 5-6 outfits, I had nowhere to put them. So I always, every year, especially because I'm trying to clear up like spring, when it's time to spring clean and things like that, I always try to go through all of their clothes. I get a bag and I put all of the 2 little items in the bag and I drop them off, either at Salvation Army or just somewhere where they have the clothing drop off, like the ones that be at the store where you can just dump it in there and then leave it. You don't have to sign in or anything. But that's usually what I always do. And that helps clear out the old that's too small and then, put in the new that I prepared them to have for the year. Another thing is to shop sales and discounts. So that's going to be important as well. Usually you do not want to wait until, a week or so before school, unless that's when you guys have like the tax-free weekend. I know California doesn't have that, but Texas, we used to always wait until tax-free weekend, and that's when we would go shop. Every year, that used to be the thing. But California, they're not like that. So basically, what I try to do out in California is I try to get the deals. I try to shop the deals at least, I would say no more than about 30 days out, because usually the sales are happening before the back to school. Sometimes they have decent sales, but if you look at the pricing, sometimes they're like, hey, buy one, get one 50% off. But then the total of it's going to cost you like you bought 3 of them, because that's how they get you. But definitely you just have to be mindful, when you're doing your shopping, you're looking at numbers and you're just paying attention to make sure you're not scammed. So a lot of these stores, that's how they become, billion-dollar companies, is because their pricing, they're getting 100% profit off of what you buy. But that's just the way that it is. And you just have to try to find the sales as you go, find coupons, discount codes, whatever there is. That's what you want to do if you can, because those discount codes definitely come in handy. I always look, especially like Old Navy. I shop at Old Navy. And I always go online just to check it out. Like, is there any coupon codes out there? Because, man, that little 10, 15%, that helps a lot, especially when you're in there and you're spending over $100, like at one time. It definitely shaves off a good amount. The next thing would be to shop online. So it's very easy to go in the store and you're just looking at stuff, putting, oh, this is nice. Oh, this is nice. And then you just put it all up there. And by the time you get to the front, you're paying like, an arm and a leg, and you're like, what? But you don't want to put nothing back because you're like, man, I really like this. So I don't know if that's happened to anyone. It's happened to me though. So that's why I'm just sharing what my experience has been in the past and how I kind of evolved and not done it before and not repeated my mistakes before. So doing online shopping, I usually always do my online shopping first before I have to head into the store. It helps me see, exactly what I'm putting together, like outfits, if I want to put a shirt and pants together, because I try to at least get them, a good amount, 5, 6 outfits and to get started for the new school year. And that way I usually, if I just go in there and buy like a handful of shirts, 5, 6 shirts, and then I'm looking for pants and nothing goes together, that defeats the purpose. And then I'm out looking again like, oh man, that doesn't match. But yeah, it's definitely been a trial and error over the years. But I do feel that shopping online helps a lot. And there's so many discount codes as well online, more than you will find, that you can use in the store. So I do highly recommend when you're doing the back to school shopping that you do opt for doing half of it, at least half, if not all, online. I know it can be difficult because I know my son, I have to have him go in and try some things out because there has been times when I would get something in the mail and it's not what we wanted. So basically we have to send back. I'm always sending back things. Don't let me buy nothing from Amazon because I'm just so glad Amazon just takes stuff back, because I usually just buy things from there and then I'll have them try it on and then I can send it back. So that's like my number one store that if I go look for something that I want to try and know that I can send it back with ease, I'm on it. I mean, everything I'm always shopping on Amazon because it's just so easy to return, especially if it's something that just didn't work out or was not working or didn't fit, too small, too big. I mean, you can go on there when you do the return option. It just says drop it off at like a UPS store. You don't even have to pack it most of the time. You just have to bring it up there and let them scan the code and they pack it for you. So it's definitely very easy to shop online these days. They've made it so easy. So highly recommend if you're going to do some back to school shopping to look online first, especially if you have your list out already, you know exactly what you need. And that'll help, save you money or stay in your budget. Another thing is involve your children. So that is something that, it's something you have to get used to, especially as they grow up. I know for my daughter, for my oldest, I think I bought her clothes every year. I just went out, picked it, or went online and picked it all. I just bought the nice things for her. I think up until like maybe high school. So I think from high school, I was always just buying her things for her and she liked them. It wasn't anything that was just, I guess because I was a young mother as well. So I was a teen mother. So I think that helped a lot to just know what was in at the time. But definitely now she has her own style. I do still, I'll go on Shein and I'll see some cute little crop tops or something. And I'm like, okay, these would be cute. And so I would get them or I would send her a screenshot like, what you think? That's kind of how I do her. But with my son and my daughter, I just pick it out. If it doesn't fit, then that's a different story. But if it's nice and, comfortable for them, they usually go with it. So, but involving your children can help eliminate, them never wearing something. So I have known there has been maybe 1 or 2 times that I've bought something and it's just like, no. And you never get the chance to return it, or you didn't realize they didn't like it until it's been over that 30-day time frame or whatever that return policy is. And so now you're stuck with this item and you're like, okay, wasting my money. And if I can't fit it, then I'm like, we can maybe hold on to it for the next one, somebody else to wear it. But yeah, it definitely, it can happen. So it is I recommend highly including your kids. I send screenshots to my oldest before I buy something, because especially her, I bought whole outfits and she never even wore them. And I'm like, okay, I'm not buying nothing else. Maybe I'll just give you the money, but I never do. I just usually get it. The last thing that I would recommend is to spread out the shopping. So of course, you have your time frame that you're looking at. You know when the back to school begins, when the sales are, they have all those back to school sales. So definitely recommend just planning it out before the last weekend, because definitely I went into a store and everything is just picked through, ran through, and it's like they don't even have this size. I'm looking for this one size and they don't even have it. And it's because, everyone has already been in there. They've been there, done, and now either they're out of stock, they're not even looking to replenish because, after they went through their back to school, they're probably now looking for fall clothing. They're trying to replace it with fall stuff. So definitely you want to try to shop early if you can. So, just a little short story if you're still tuned in. For this summer, we went to Ross. Ross was the main store that we went to with the back to school for the dorm shopping. And they had everything. The backpacks with lunch boxes included with the water bottle was like $12.99. So I don't know if you guys have found anything cheaper than that. But when I saw that, I thought that was a steal because when I went to like Target, a water bottle by itself was $12.99 and up. And so they're very expensive. I'm like, okay, I'm glad I went to Ross first because I went to Ross and I got the backpack for my daughter, my kindergartner. So I was able to get that $12.99, 3-in-1 deal. But then when I tried to go to Target for my son, no, those water bottles was very, very pricey. So I definitely had to wait and go back to another store because they were taxing. But with Ross, my daughter in her dorm room, I just made sure, she had the bedding. She had her sheet. So she had the bedding. She had an extra pillow and also the rug, everything. Everything that I needed for the dorm was like right there in that section. I did get her workout outfits. I got her about 3 of those at Ross. I also got some clothes. So she wanted, more. She didn't really have a lot of shorts, which it's California. It doesn't get very hot. This week has probably been the hottest all summer. It's about, high 80s, but it's about to start back. It's said on the news, it said on the Weather Channel, like 70s, low 70s by the end of the week. So I'm thinking it's already starting to get back to the cooler months. But yeah, so she wanted a couple shorts to walk on campus. And then she wanted, she didn't really have a lot of new jeans, which I felt that she did have a little growth in her. So I felt like, let's get a couple jeans for her. And then we got some sweats. She got about 2 hoodies or sweaters. She always loved sweaters. So that was something that I think with her clothing, I got most of it there. And then we did do a little shopping on Shein. So Shein, of course, if you've ever shopped there, they do have a large variety, especially for the teens, I think, and the younger kids. They have a nice variety and they're not too expensive. Because you're adding stuff to the cart, they can rack up quick. But definitely, if you've ever shopped there before and you've gotten the material and you like it, I think it's a place that is pretty good to shop at. I know I've seen a lot of reviews, but I've never had too big of a problem. Maybe there's been a few times, where the outfits were just the material. I didn't like it. And my daughter, maybe she wasn't my youngest. She didn't like the material, like the pants or something. So, it's a matter of what you choose, of course. But that's kind of what we did. And then we used a lot, like the lamps. We already knew that we had lamps. Already knew, that she had baskets. We did get a new laundry basket, even though she had one for home. It was had like dog hair, but we went ahead and got a new one for her that she'll be able to tote easily when it's time for laundry day. And then, one that could close so that since she had a roommate, just don't want everything exposed and just keep it tidy in the room. That was what we bought for the dorm. And we definitely started out with a list. So everything that she had that she wanted to have in her room, we checked to see if she had already had it. And then whatever was left, that's how we shopped for it. So I hope that this helped in some kind of way to anyone that, that goes through this every year. As parents, we always have to get those items. Even with the school supplies, it used to be where they give you a list. I don't know if other states are doing it, but California, ever since I've been here in California, I have never had to go and shop, like go down the list. I don't know if I've just been lucky the last few years, but it's always been like on a donation type thing. And I don't know if that's because California, they had, with COVID, all of that. I don't know if it happened out that way because they got so much money from the government. But I know in Texas, we used to always have a large list. I mean, Kleenex, crayons, color pencils, calculators. It was so much that you could buy a whole. And one school that we went to, which I really liked it, is you could buy it pre-packed. So you just have to put the school name in there and what grade, and they would have everything that was on that school supply in one pack, and you just pay and they put it together. That I always used to get that. So if you guys have that, I think I would recommend it highly. It just saves a lot of time and a lot of just in the store with all the other parents scrummaging through all of that school supply stuff. So just definitely, planning it out, budgeting if you can. Living in California is very pricey, so budgeting is key and trying to keep your head above the water because if not, you could see your money dwindling very quickly. I mean, just going out to eat, like I was telling my friend all the time, like I just don't remember having to spend like $40 every time, you go out like to a quick fast food restaurant, it's very pricey out here. And especially with the economy, the way that it is, it's just very pricey everywhere. So budgeting, if you can, write it down. Know how much you can spend or how much you want to spend to a specific category if you can. So yeah, I hope that this helps you guys. And if you want to send a message on Instagram, that's where I would normally respond. It's at parentinvolve_pod. I will continue to post every Tuesday at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So make sure you guys turn on that notification and listen in when I do post. Thanks again, guys, and have a great day.